I'm James Brierton back with you now, 2:41 p.m. on this January 9th, 2024. We do have some tornado warnings in the Carolinas, and let's talk about them because it's the reason we weren't on the stream here the last few minutes because I was seeking shelter here in Mecklenburg County in southeastern Charlotte near Matthews for what appeared to be a tornado rotation. Active tornado warning right now does continue for portions of Mecklenburg County. It's not the only tornado warning we have right now, so let's show you what is happening right now in the Carolinas here at this 2:41 p.m. Eastern time hour as we're continuing to track this severe weather outbreak across the Carolinas. We did have a tornado warning just outside of Columbia to the north and to the west. That has since expired. So actually the only tornado warning right now still active is the one for Mecklenburg for portions of Cabarrus County. And I got Shay Gibson on the line with me, and he knows we were going to start this stream, and then I had to go seek shelter because I am right on in here in this Matthews area. And you can see as we loop back the terminal Doppler radar, that rotation did kind of skirt right on over my neighborhood. We sought shelter. We don't have a basement, but we practice what we preach here at the Carolina Weather Group. We went to the lowest level of a sturdy structure. We don't have a basement, so we went under the stairs, Shay, and that's where my family is. We're not underground, but at least we are as low as possibly can be with as many walls between us and the outside world as possible. So I know we're continuing to track right now this tornado warning for Mecklenburg, Paris, and Union counties. But Shay, you're in Charleston. You guys
Mhm.
have a high wind warning. You got severe weather watches as we head on through the evening hours for this squall line that is continuing to march slowly off to the east. What are you guys anticipating later on?
Yeah, thanks, James. Glad you guys are okay there. Gosh, I saw that going right over your area. It's like, man, are you guys okay? And you pop back on, but yeah, it's just so some of these are so quick. Like there's a whole bunch down in Georgia, right? Now we're starting to see some tornadic activity up in the Myrtle Beach area. So let me go ahead and just share screen. What you're looking at here is College of DuPage visible satellite with simulator or composite radar, and what you see is this main line of storms that's heading towards the east, as James just said. One thing to be really concerned about is along the Grand Strand and up towards the Cape Fear area. So what you have is you have the warm waters of the Gulf Stream out here, right, mixing over these cooler waters in between the cooler shelf waters. But either way, you have very strong winds aloft. And what this is doing is creating a line of these discrete cells, these individual cells, these supercells that are actually heading up towards the Grand Strand. So if you live up in the Myrtle Beach area, be on alert right now for tornado warnings that you're likely going to see popping from time to time as these storms roll into the coast one by one. Looks like it's shifting a little bit from the southern Myrtle Beach area up to the northern Grand Strand, up towards the Cape Fear areas. So the Cape Fear is actually closer towards the Gulf Stream where that warm water is, and so you may see a lot more of this discrete cell, supercell activity encompassing that area. But for Charleston right now, we're getting a little bit of a break. We've had some pretty gusty winds today. We have that one main line that is heading towards us, and with that, we are expecting winds up to 70, 75 miles per hour during straight line wind events where that's going to occur. So don't write this off yet. Once this passes, even behind that, we still have a little bit of storm activity to deal with behind that main line. So be on aware for that. Right now, the current winds are they're jumpy. They're really up and down. Right now, we're holding an average of about 25 to 30 miles per hour with gusts up to the mid to upper 30s. We did have a wind gust at Folly Beach up to 56 miles per hour, right about 12:35 today. So seeing some pretty strong gusts out there. Of course, up on top of the bridge, it's going to be much higher, right? The higher up you go in the atmosphere, the more wind you're going to see. In fact, if you look at this, we're going to go up to 500 millibars. So right now we said 25 to 30 for average at the surface, and we go up to 500 millibars up around 16 to 18,000 feet. You're seeing about 80 knots, 80 to 85 knots, which is close to 100 miles an hour. So you're talking some pretty stiff winds aloft, and that's what's causing some of the rotation on these storms. I don't think that we are going to get out of the tornado watch zone anytime soon until that main line goes and maybe what's behind it. But it looks like for right now, majority of those supercells are staying offshore and up towards the Grand Strand and the Cape Fear area, Wilmington area. But we can't write Charleston off just yet. We did talk about the prime time being between 12 and 3 o'clock today for the supercell composite, but that could be extended out to 5 o'clock p.m. And we are under tornado watch until 6 p.m. tonight. So, James, what are you guys, otherwise, what are you seeing up in the North Carolina area? I think we've covered the coastal zone. The marine zone is really rough. Looking at washout right now. What's good though, what's good thing before I pass the ball back to you, James, is that our high tide iteration with a near new moon phase and some onshore winds. Those onshore winds didn't really start till about 4 or 5 in the morning. So we got a break on that. We didn't get into the major flooding category. We did get the moderate, but that's over with, and it doesn't look like we're going to have any real issues as high tide comes in tonight. So that's at least some reprieve, less of a headache to deal with this storm system, where we don't have any major saltwater flooding like we saw back on December the 17th.
Yeah, Shay, it's hasn't been that long since the last storm.
Let me see if I get my camera to go to the right camera. And we're watching another system I know for Friday. It's certainly a very active winter we've been having here in the Carolinas, and it's keeping us on our toes.
Yeah, very true. Very typical of an El Nino pattern.
Mm-hmm.
I'm surprised we haven't had more Arctic air dipping down. If we did, of course, we'd be looking at a whole different event with this kind of a system. We'd be looking at potential ice or snow event. But with absence of that polar air mass, we're not going to see that now. That could change next week for portions of North Carolina. I think Western North Carolina and Western South Carolina could see something like that, James. But one system after another, mainly caused by the subtropical jet from the south, providing moisture up across from the Pacific up across the Gulf of Mexico, and of course connecting with upper lows, and that draws that Gulf energy up and across the southeast region. So this is going to be the pattern for the next few weeks. Just a matter of time if we end up getting some wintry weather with it or not. I don't think this isn't typical to see something of this magnitude in the first week or two of January, where we're in the severe category, enhanced category for so much of the southeast region on the eastern side of it. So, yep, back to you, James.
Thank you very much, Shay. We'll keep our thoughts with you guys there in Charleston as the system comes your way later on in the afternoon hours. Appreciate your perspective as always. I'll tell you, as I'm sitting here, I just heard a bang and I was like, oh my goodness, what is that sound? Did a tree just fall? No, the garbage truck is doing his rounds in the middle of a tornado warning. I don't know how I feel about that. Seems bizarre.
It definitely puts you on edge, where you just went through a tornado that passed over almost right overhead. So anything loud is going to be offsetting.
Yeah, it really, really was. We do have a new tornado warning right now for Bamberg, Calhoun, and Orangeburg, South Carolina. And Shay, I'm going to take our audience down into that neck of the woods here. I think it's going to be, is that going to be just outside of Great Falls and Heath Springs? Looking at what might be some rotation there on radar, waiting for the actual warning to pop up on my screen. But this would be a new tornado warning just issued by the National Weather Service in the course of the last few minutes for the severe thunderstorm located near Bamberg, moving northeast at 50 miles an hour for locations including Prince of Orange Mall, Edisto, Creston, Bamberg County Airport,
Claflin College, Edisto Gardens.
I think I'm definitely not far enough south. Can you tell there I go.
Yep. I'm looking at the one right now for Bamberg, Calhoun, Orangeburg, and they're talking about SC State, right? Yeah. So where SC State is, Brookdale, Claflin College, Edisto Gardens, and yeah, those are the main ones. Other areas, Cope, Wilkinson Heights, Prince of Orange. That's right, you had that. Edisto, Creston, may be impacted, but the immediate concerns are those other ones, the universities and the schools.
Yeah. You can see it on your screen now. If you're watching along live with us, this will be coming to Orangeburg, the next little area. Also, I-26. So if you know anybody driving between Columbia and Charleston, maybe coming off I-95, give them a call and let them know so that they don't potentially intercept this potential tornado on I-26. This tornado warning will continue for the next 24 minutes. Getting a text from my neighbor here in Mecklenburg County asking if they can come out of their storm shelter. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. That's kind of where we are at here, right? So we will watch. This is a new tornado warning, and it is going to be, again, active here for South Carolina for the next half an hour or so. Shay, I know in a few minutes you'll be hopping off. I'm contemplating getting in my car and driving around a little bit here in Mecklenburg County to see what I might be able to find from that brief tornado warning we had, although I'm kind of waiting for the rain intensity to let up here a little bit because it is still coming down pretty significantly here in Charlotte.
Yep. I would say, just to reiterate for those watching for the Charleston area, I'd say the main line of storms, it's heading just on the verge of going through Savannah right now. And then We should be seeing that in the Charleston area sometime between 4:30 and 6:30, and then heading up the coast towards the Grand Strand between 5:30 and 7:30, and so on and so forth on up the coast, right? So if you if you live in the Grand Strand right now, this is a lot of activity ongoing up that way. But we are not writing off any tornadic activity for Charleston yet, right? We know that we have cool shelf waters and the southerly winds are helping stave off some of that severe activity, which is a good thing. We saw some convective activity roll through earlier. I heard a little bit of thunder a little while ago, maybe a couple of booms. But this line, if it holds, should pack a punch. And again, I'm saying straight line winds could exceed 70 miles an hour to 75 miles an hour with potential for tornadic activity along it within that QLCS or that quasi-linear system that it comes along with. I'm really hoping, James, that our cooler shelf waters will help break this line up once it comes up the coast a little bit more and maybe stabilize some of that line and break it apart. That would be the best case scenario. But either way, we still are at risk for high damaging winds during that time.
Yeah, these winds are going to be really what nips us in the butt, especially after people start to let their guard down following the intensity rain later, and we still have those winds coming on through. National Weather Service telling us now, Shay, reports of possible tornado touchdown just south of Bamberg, South Carolina, near the Public Works building. They're not clear yet on what type of damage could have occurred with this, but this is associated right now with this latest tornado warning that is in effect in South Carolina, and just trying to see if we can actually see maybe anything on correlation coefficient here. Maybe right. Hang on. There was one frame there, Shay, that hopped out to me. Maybe right in here. Kind of right when it came right on over Bamberg.
Some low CC.
Yeah.
In that area, yeah. Maybe a little bit of debris. I'm going into the WFO Columbia. Let's see. John Q saying reports a possible tornado touchdown. Not much in their chat for right now, but definitely a little bit of low CC to pair with that. So yeah, I'd say if you have a little bit of low CC in there, then definitely have some debris in the air, some sort.
Yeah, the correlation coefficient for our viewers at home helps us indicate the difference between rain and wind and actual objects in the sky. Maybe that's tree branches or things of that maybe debris from a roof, shingles, that sort of thing. So again, we're watching this tornado warning right now. That goes for the next little under half an hour, 20 minutes or so for Calhoun, Bamberg, and Orange counties. Wouldn't be surprised if we get some more warnings along what is becoming quite the squiggly little squall line.
Yep,
Especially,
James.
Go ahead, Jay.
No, I was gonna say that'll. I think that'll be a wrap for Charleston. We're countdown, right? We got about, I'd say about 2 hours before, 2.5 hours before we start to see that main line. But we could easily see clusters and discrete cells breaking out ahead of it. We're not as close to the Gulf Stream as the Grand Strand and up towards the Cape Fear area. So those areas are really of concern right now with the tornadoes that are sort of spawning offshore and then heading in towards land. Those tend to start out as giant tornadic water spouts. Once they make it to land, they can hold up and actually become a full-fledged tornado. That happens up that way quite a bit, especially over the Cape Fear area. That is a really well-known spot where these tornadic water spouts make it ashore, or even just plain water spouts, and then they become tornadoes, EF1 or EF2 category. So that is the threat still. Tornadic activity could hit EF2 status, which means it'd be a strong tornado. So that is the risk through this entirety of the main line arriving or approaching and then arriving and passing through these areas.
Yep, it's going to be an eventful next few hours. Appreciate your perspective there in Shay. I know you've got some other things to get back to. I'm going to step away from my computer and go kind of survey my own neighborhood following that tornado warning that was issued here in Mecklenburg County. Came pretty darn close to where I live, and I kind of want to go take an assessment of things. So if you're watching us on Facebook, Twitter, and other platforms, I invite you to find the Carolina Weather Group on YouTube, where our stream will continue momentarily with non-stop severe weather coverage from our Carolina Weather Net, featuring live radar, sky cams, and real-time warnings from the National Weather Service. So please like and subscribe, hit the bell on YouTube to get notified when we go live. We'll have more updates like this throughout the day as we continue to track this hours-long severe weather outbreak occurring here in the Carolinas. On behalf of Shay Gibson in Charleston. I'm James Brierton in Charlotte, North Carolina. Thanks for joining us for this severe weather update. Again, please seek shelter and stay in your safe place in Calhoun, Bamberg, and Orangeburg counties until at least 3:15. And we'll see what the National Weather Service decides to do on that tornado warning that is in effect as we continue on with our severe weather day here in the Carolinas.
Thank you, James.